The purpose of this tutorial is to show how in a live Mathify session, how you could access Desmos to help a student see a concept. Perhaps the student is actually asked, how do we use Desmos to do these kinds of things? So that's the whole point of this. So we have this session that's in the middle. We can see the tutor's whiteboard here. If you want to see the students, this is what the students looks like. So of course the whiteboard looks exactly the same. So this, as you can see from the chat here, the students done some work. The students asked, the tutor asked, have you tried anything? Yes, I have. Can you show me? So that's what we're looking at here. So the student has found these intersection points for this parabola and this line, and so the second part is if the line is translated 5 units down, what happens to the intersection points? So let's start with what these two curves look like, and the first thing I would do is go to Desmos. And so here's the two curves, y equals 2, x minus 1 squared minus 3. So let's graph that one. So there's the parabola. And then the line is y equals 2x minus 1. And of course, we can see the intersection points that the student came up with are correct, 0, -1, and 3, 5. Okay. Now, if let's say the student wasn't familiar with Desmos, so hasn't used it before. Maybe this is the first time their teacher has asked them about it, or maybe they've never heard of it, and the tutor's showing, well, you can show this on Desmos. So a couple ways you could do that. We could take a screenshot of this, and when I do the screenshots, I like to have the equations included. So I'm not just going to do this part. So I'll come over here. Make sure I've got enough of the graph. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm just going to save that on my desktop. I'll call it Graph. Now, of course, you have to remember where you saved it. So let's go back to the tutoring session. And you might tell the student, I'm going to upload this to the second whiteboard because there's not much real estate left in the first one. So upload image. And I'm looking for graph, that one there. And so there is the graph. So we make it nice and big. The student can see those are the 2 points. Now, another way that you can share that is if you're in Desmos, if you look up here at, so share graph. So if I click on that little symbol, this is the URL to that particular graph. So we copy it. And I could go back in the chat. So the student could pick that up. And they would just have to copy all that. And of course, even after the session's over, the student could go back into the saved chat, and grab that URL. It's not like it's a one-time thing. And of course, the student just paste that in there, and they have access to the same graph. So that's a couple different ways that you can share. And so let's bring the students back over here. So there was a second question here. What happens if you translate the line down 5 more units? So of course, if we go back to the Desmos, down 5 more units, you're going 5 below the -1. So in another line, we could go y equals 2x minus 6. And of course, you can see that the line's down far enough it doesn't intersect. So that's what the question's asking about. Doesn't intersect the parabola at all. Of course, the student could be asked to demonstrate that algebraically now. Here's what it looks like. You can see it doesn't intersect at all. And of course, the tutor could take a screenshot, share the URL again. If we go back to share the URL again, it does update things. So copy. So if I wanted to show that, there's the new Desmos with the second line in there. So you can share them like that. So that's a couple ways that you can share graphs to illustrate concepts using Desmos. It's a very powerful tool, and I'm seeing now more and more students are quite aware of it and use it for a bit. But that's another tool that we have as Mathify tutors in the middle of sessions. And that's the end of the tutorial.